Hey, it's Mr. First and 15, Darren Price, thesyllabus.org. Today, we're doing our July 1st video 2014. Once again, as every time, we got to give thanks and pay some homage to those who didn't make it to the next video and to the next 15 days of life. Rolling right on. Today I've got a phone interview with an individual that I actually met and talked with in person a couple of times, and we tried to meet up again and weren't able to, so I've been traveling. As you know, I'm up in Virginia now at my home office, and going to go right on into it. So we're going to go get this interview started. This is a lovely young lady that I met actually via Facebook with some encouragement, and she's done a lot of things and major accomplishments. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get into this phone interview. Hello, Marie, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. So we're going to go right on into it. As I said, this is my guest for the day, and I will just kind of step to the side and let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, what you did, and what you're getting ready to do.
Okay. Well, my name is Mari Finkley, of course. I just graduated from Berea College with a Bachelor of Arts in Child and Family Studies. Currently working with the college until August, and I'll be looking for bigger and better things. I plan to go to grad school, get my degree in marriage and family counseling.
Great.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. And as I said before, I came across actually met her on Facebook through one of her poems, and you wrote a poem a little while back. And I do know that you write or whatever, what have you. Can you briefly touch on that poem that you had written? Because that's what really caught my attention.
Yes, I'm trying to remember which one it was. I'm sorry.
There's so many.
I like so many. Let me think back. I'm not. Can you remind me again which one it was?
It's all right, and that's what I wanted you to say, because that's perfect. So, because when I tell people different things, that people start things and they never finish them, it's you do so much that you kind of get lost in it, and that means you really kind of have a passion as far as what you're doing, because you do so much that it's not like you really count on one thing that keeps you going and motivates you. You did one, I believe the first one I saw was about youth, something related to being yourself, somewhere around that range. I didn't pull it up to actually reread it, but needless to say, that will just bring us right on into our interview, because it hits perfect. So that's why I really reached out to her when I did see the poems. The first question I do want to ask you real quick is, what do you think about the older generation, and what have you learned from them?
Well, for me personally, I really believe that our older generation is our foundation, and it's our roots. They are the giants of the shoulders that we stand on. And from my perspective, how could a tree stand if you cut its roots? How could it thrive? How could it live? And I think the older generation are those roots that we are founded in, we stand on. And so without them, how could we truly be who we are?
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. And this is a two-part question. So with the second portion of that, what do you think about our new generation, and what are you learning from them?
I think our new generation is interesting, full of many gifts, many talents. But I also think that society and the media has really distracted our youth today, and they've become more about, they focus more on what others think of them and how they should look and how they should act, and who they should be, and they forget it's really not about what they think. It's about what you think and who you say you are. I actually, reading a poem, I recently wrote a poem, How to Let the Bee Sleep, and it's referring to that. I think we live in an identity complex with our youth today. Not that we should live a life to just simply be satisfied and that's it. Of course, we should always strive to do more, to be more. But I think we live in a generation where they're not satisfied with them first to even be able to do more or be more. I think it's slightly heartbreaking, but I think there is hope for our generation because there are those few that are catching on,
right,
spreading the word that hey, it's not about what they say, it's about what I say about me.
Right, absolutely.
And they're so full of talent, so full of wisdom, and so
that's great.
like I'm really surprised and shocked at the same time about the youth today. So
yeah, I totally agree with that, and I asked those questions together about the old generation and the new generation because it's a message to the older generation and the newer generation. Okay, as far as the older generation, it's, and don't take this the wrong way, it's 2014, it's not 1914, and people have changed and times change, and the baby boomer generation, we appreciate you for bringing us in this world, but guess what, we're not babies anymore. We have to learn ourselves, especially for those who weren't taught by the older generation the right things to do. And for the newer generation, you may be lacking those type of things, but you have to really reach out and look for those type of things. And if you never had it, you can always try to seek it and go get it from other people, even if they're your age. You may learn from the people that are younger than you, or talk to somebody of an older generation that you may or may not even relate to, because it takes a lot to grow, and you have to know things like that. And we're not in that time anymore to where we settle for things. That's something that I noticed about the generation today. You know, I was given a patronizing story real quick about our forefathers paved the way for this and that to, you know, put us in these positions that we have, and we should just deal with it. And, you know, I appreciate that because I respect that wholeheartedly. But now is the time to act on that. And this is the time that we're in. The youth, you must not continue to settle for what our forefathers and ancestors settled for. That's what they fought for, us to be free today. So now it's not settle for it. Now there's an addendum to that statement, should I say. The time is to act. Now is the time to act. And that's what the generation today is doing. I mean, sometimes it's kind of way off base the way that it's being done, but it's happening. And there's really not too much you can do anymore to stop it.
Pretty much.
Right. So my next question is, we're going to talk about love. I mean, and that's important because that's what's missing. What does love mean to you? Sacrifice.
Just going from a more biblical context, anytime you see the word love mentioned in the Bible, give or gave is shortly behind it. I think love means to give. It means to sacrifice what you want, or may not even want, and give to someone else. I've actually I did a study on Corinthians 13, and like the depth in which love means and what it stands for. It's amazing because I think, again, how so many people confuse sex for love and lust for love, and those are two completely different things. But I think love is really looking beyond self.
Yes.
To help someone else, to give of yourself. to help someone else, to love someone else. And then even that, it's funny to love is to give of yourself and even sometimes deny yourself. But before you can love someone else, you have to love you. So you have to give of yourself. You also have to like step out of yourself sometimes and throw away some things about you that aren't beneficial to you. So at the same time, you're still denying yourself things that aren't beneficial for you and your growth. And at the same time, you're still giving back yourself. You're still nourishing yourself. You're still taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And that requires like talking and speaking positively to yourself and about yourself and building yourself up.
That's right.
So I think love is sacrifice and love is giving.
That's right. Sacrifice and giving. It's major, but people think it's so minor. And I'm glad you broke that down. The difference between loving and lusting, and because lusting is really selfishness. It's not love. I mean, you can't. It just doesn't. They don't mesh. As people try to make those things go together. They're like you said, they're two different pages, and the ones that get hurt are the ones who try to live off of lust. Well, our next question, continuing about love, as well as love being sacrifice and being selfless, God is also love. That's the ultimate lust. That if anything, it should be about God. What's your thoughts about that? I mean, God is love. Love is sacrifice. And you put it together, it just makes sense. God is love. Love is sacrifice. What's your thought on that? What's your take on God being love?
It is what it is. It's just like the sky is blue. Even though it's not always blue, but the sky for the everybody is blue. Like God is love. Like you think love, you breathe out God. He is the definition. He is. Without that, there would be no concept of love.
Right.
There would be no understanding. There would not even be a word needed or needed to be used, because without the absence of God equals the absence of love, because He is just that. It's self-explanatory. And
yes.
Then going back to Gabe's give sacrifice, for God so loved was that He gave.
Wow.
And, His only begotten Son. It always is going to follow. Like so. And sometimes what I love to do, sometimes when I'm reading the Word, I replace God with love, and it makes sense. Because in the beginning, God, when He said, "Let us make man, and let us make him in the likeness and the image of us," that speaks volumes of His love. He said, "I'm not going to speak you into existence like I did all of creation, but I'm going to do something special, something greater, something bigger, because I love you."
That's right. That's right. And because we're all God force. I like using that phrase. We're God force, and we are always in turmoil with ourselves and other people because we don't recognize that and realize it. And even if we do recognize and realize it, we don't act on it.
Yeah.
So it's like we're a force of nature. I mean, I'll let y'all marinate on that while I go to the next question. Force of nature, God force. My next question, can you give me a quick experience of how you may have helped someone in crisis in your life, that somebody may have come to you or may not even come to you, that something may have happened to someone? Then just give me an example of how you may have helped them out.
Well, I won't share a personal experience, just in regards to that person and their experience and respect for them and their privacy. But I will say, when I am in that position, two things. I always try to reflect on if I've even been in a situation like that or in a situation similar, and what did I do that worked and what did I do that didn't work as a way to, better give advice. Because while it's important to look at what worked, it's also important to know what didn't work,
Right.
so you don't repeat the same mistakes. And coming to college, having a talk with one of my collegians, one thing she told me that sometimes you don't go through things just for you, but you go through it to help someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I have truly found that so true, because 9 times out of 10, the people who have come to me for advice or with a crisis, I've been through that. I know what it's like to be in that place, and I'm here. So I know it's possible, and it's encouraging to say that you'll get through it, that you'll make it, because if I can do it, I'm more than sure that you can. But it's about the choice you make.
That's right.
That's what I usually try to do, put my feet in their shoes. And God is giving me the ability, though, which I find so remarkable, that even if I have not been in that position or that situation, that I could feel it. I could feel the pain, physically, mentally, or emotionally, or spiritually, feel exactly what you're going through, to be able to relate better and give you words of advice or words of encouragement. And so usually that's the approach that I tend to take.
Right. Absolutely. Great. Thank you for that. Now, my next question is, how would you like to be treated as you transition into your twilight years? And what I mean, the twilight years, as you continue to grow and become a wiser person. And like you said, is people learn from each other by example. So how would you like to be treated, or what type of footprint or mark, if someone's to say, hey, Queen was such and such, not that it really matters what somebody says about you, by the way, people, but what kind of, if I will, medicine would you like to leave for the people behind you?
Okay. I think it will go beyond treating people how you want it to be treated. I think, though, if we did have that mindset where every day we wake up, we learn to be grateful, one, for waking up. Because two, grateful for the little things. Because people, not everybody's going to wake up the same day you woke up, We have ability, sometimes we take for granted even the smallest things, like being able to blink, like being able to actually get out of bed, having a heart that functions properly. So these things that, because they're so common to us, we slightly take for granted. I think if we could have a mindset when we woke up to be grateful for what does and doesn't work, that would be the first to hit the ground running as far as leaving us.
Right. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
But the other thing would be kind of what I said, to truly, if we could all embody that mindset to treat others how we wanted to be treated, not how we, sometimes how we want to be treated and how we act are two different things. Because sometimes we will block people out, but at the same time, that's not saying that's how we wanted to be treated, but I'm trying to find the right word for what I'm saying.
It's more like maybe people want to be treated a certain way, but they can't give it.
Yeah. That's where it is. Some people always say we try to show people how we want to be treated. And sometimes that's not enough. We literally have to treat them how we want to be treated. And
That's
then
right.
if we do that, I think crime would go down. I think violence would go down. I think this this new dynamic of low self esteem and self hate would
Mm-hmm.
go down because people would learn to love themselves more. Because
Mm-hmm.
if everybody was treating everyone as they wanted to be treated, then we wouldn't have children bullying other children and things such as that. And
That's
so,
right.
yeah,
That's right.
that would be it. Wake up with blissfulness, one. Treat others how you want to be treated.
That's right. Do unto others. You have them do unto you. But it starts by being an individual too. So my last question for you will be, what motivates you of all the things that we talked about? And I know we touched a lot of stuff, but if you were to sum this up and just give me a few key words or a statement or two, what motivates Queen? What makes Queen Queen?
The fact, it's the fact that I have times where I have to realize I do have a purpose to help people. I think that's really what motivates me because I can remember being in some of the most lowest places of my life
Mm-hmm.
and someone coming to me with a need. And it gives me the ability to step up out of whatever I'm dealing with in order to help that person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it, but the fact that I know I'm here to help people and to, like, in general, just to help people. I feel like my life has really been purposed to help people. Like, I said this all the time. It's interesting, Clay, to have the heart of a servant.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it seems like a blessing and a curse, but it is literally what keeps me going, what motivates me to be the best me in my worst days. And it reminds me that even when I'm down here in the pit, but I have to get up because someone is coming who needs to hear about my experience, who needs to know something I have to say to them. And so it's people. I'm in love with people. I love when people like find joy and they find happiness. Like it literally fills my life. It
Yes.
gives me the greatest joy to see the people I'm around and people I don't even know. Like when they can rejoice over their triumphs and just rejoice over their life. That's what motivates me.
That's right. That's right. If you could see me, I'm just grinning from ear to ear because my head is just shaking, and because I can relate to that. And I mean, people know my story for the most part, and so I don't really need to elaborate on myself about that. But it's great because I was actually telling somebody that the other day. When you're in your worst dump, somebody's counting on you, and I'm actually getting kind of teary eyed right now because it's major, and people look at different things in life and what they're going through, and it's like, how do they do this and how do they do that, but you gotta keep your head on straight and just have perseverance and faith that it's always going to be a brighter day no matter what, and somebody's always counting on you. And that's why I started to do what I started to do 10 years ago, because of me being almost, like I said, dead to now what.
Right.
And, I don't think you can get any lower than that. So, and now, here I am, and here we are, and we're still going through trials and tribulations, but we're always going to be seen through them if we have faith and never give up. Book of James. I'm stuck on Book of James. That's my messages actually for the next months coming up, because I'm running through the whole chapter, the whole book. But with that being said, I got a little picture up here behind me that says believe there are no limits but the sky. Which, if you look back at different clips I've made, there's no box. It doesn't exist. I mean, just snap out of it, people. Which brings us right on to the close of our interview. And it's kind of hard and I love these interviews because they go as long as they want to go. And because once you get talking, it's great because it's a testimony, it's a ministry to somebody. You're helping me, I'm helping you. I mean, we're helping somebody else out there, and that's what we're here to do. And it's awesome, but which leads me right into the closing of the interview as far as we have what man has created to be Independence Day or 4th of July or whatever would have you. You need to be an independent person every day. Not just on the 4th of July. Not just on whatever it is, a money-making holiday. It is coming up. It's cool to pay respects. I'm not saying don't. But at the same time, you need to give yourself some respect too. And the people that are around you that are present today. And the people that are after you. Even the people that came before you. That are here and that have gone. But you have to do that on a daily basis. It's not just something that you celebrate. Buy a few burgers or whatever like that. I mean, it's symbolism and everything, but you have to be sincere in what you do on a daily basis. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, actually. See me, I'm a person who loves words and loves knowing the definition. And of course, since you brought up coming out of the Independence Day, I always want to make it kind of aware, something to think about. When you think about what the definition of independent means, the first one is to not be influenced or controlled by others in the matter of opinion. And it goes directly back to what I was talking about earlier. If we could all get to that place where we're freeing ourselves from what other people think about our lives and our actions as far as that are not promoting our growth. If we can get to a place of freedom and independence in that, I know someone said something to me the other day that makes so much more sense. Once you know your worth, no one can make you feel worthless. And so that's what I'm going to leave you with. Freeing yourself. So on Independence Day, think about that. What could you be independent from? What could you loose yourself from that'll give you more independence and a larger freedom meanwhile? So yeah.
Great. Absolutely. And that's wonderful. I mean, you just again, she defined independence for you, so you don't even have to do the homework on that. So that's your call. But the best thing about it, as I said, it's been great. I appreciate your time. This is Queen Mari. She likes to be queen because she is a queen. Again, you can find her poetry or poems actually on Facebook, right?
Yep, Queen Mari with the I.
Queen Mari. I keep calling her Marie. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But, go by either one if you want.
It's Queen Mari, Mari Finkley, Finkley. Great person. I've met her in person. Awesome individual. Again, obviously another inspiration to the world. So be on the lookout. And again, as I always like to close my interviews and things like that, I just want to tell and ask everybody, ask yourself a question. Are you living your dream? Or are you still asleep? Think about that. But don't think too long because you'll be out of time. Till then, see you around.